want to see you move. I see you deadlift a few times, you put something over your head, I know what I need to see. But sometimes the correlates help me to understand what I'm seeing, and it helps to break it down and make it easier for people. I'm going to give you a quick and dirty correlate test that you could deliver. It's like a shaman's blow that you could deliver to 50 people in about 90 seconds. That's a useful tool for me, right? I get people's attention quickly with what's going on. I call it the shaman's blow. In Chicago, they called it a cock punch. Sometimes you need a gold cock punch. I heard that phrase, and I'm like, I'm not sure what that is. And they're like, a cock punch, like you got punched in the cock. Here's what. Number one, hip crease goes below the knee, like squatting, right? And the leg, I just hold it there. The leg should go straight up and down without losing that knee position. Relax your leg. Oh, wah, wah. The truth comes out. 0. Get a 1 or 0. We used to grade these things, and everyone's like, well, I'm like a C, it's good enough. I'm like, yeah, 0, and now I got your attention, okay? So, second, active straight leg raise. This is functional movement screen. This is a neural tensioner. I don't do this. I have her do it. I pull out my laser leveler goniometer hand. Keep your leg straight. Pull your heel past my hand. Does she do it? Leg straight? She gets a 1. Flip on your stomach. She's got 1 point for that leg.
So does it have any difference between her other leg lifted up in the back?
Doesn't matter.
Okay.
Especially since we're doing it so fast and dirty, right?
Okay.
Because this doesn't tell me anything about how fast she can Fran, how much she can deadlift, how she can, it maybe tells me about how much more performance she has in the tank, but it maybe helps me build a relationship understanding her movement dysfunction, but it doesn't tell me anything about performance. So it's quick and dirty, and I want to get away from it anyway, because it's not real movement based, right? Knee in line. What's going on there? Whoa, she's on tension all the way down here. And this is called Eli's. Do you need to memorize that? No. Where should your heel go? This is a heel to your butt test. And look what happened. So she was all flexible on her side. Look how flexible I am. And now we're having lunch. Watch this though. If her knee comes out to the side, suddenly it looks like I have more range? So what's her cheat when she runs? Her knee flies out. What happens in the backswing of her pull-up? Her legs break. Her legs go out to the side. Where does she want to go when she jerks with that back leg? She wants to turn it in. Flat. Can you see all these kind of ideas in your head? And so that's how she's mechanically solving that problem. It's a workaround, right? Isn't that amazing that that's causing her to extend? Yeah, tight hamstrings, tight posterior chain. We see flexion-related problems. Extension-related problems go also hand in hand with tight anterior chain, tight kind of front of the legs. Can you guys see that relationship? Do you have back problems? No. No, it's not about that, is it? Except that, dude, you're missing 50% of the range of motion in one of your joints. And her hip isn't even in neutral. Let's put her hip in fun neutral. I don't want you to do this because we don't need to. But what is going on there? Can you see all that motion? She's going to have to account for that force somewhere, and it's going to account from her back because this is the dog and this is the tail, and the tail is like a Hulk tail. It's never going to be able to manage. So we get the tail wagging the dog. Make sense? So she got a 0. She got 1 out of 3 on this leg. That's good. That's like 33%. Go find out what your score is with someone else. You have 60 seconds. 3, 2, 1, go. If you have a 6 out of 6, stay standing. If you don't have 6 points, sit down. You got 6 out of 6, didn't you?
We think we didn't. We don't know how to do it.
Now look, I purposely just kind of kept that fast and loose. It doesn't mean anything. It's a correlate for actually how you're moving. Maybe it tells me something about the large musculature right below one joint, or the hip joint, and right above the knee joint. Right, it's the prime movers of the thigh. But instead of memorizing a ton of that, we deadlift, we squat, we can see what's going on. Where some of you guys are pretty close to being good, right? You're really close, like, hey, 3 or 4 degrees, maybe the wind blows a little bit, CJ comes into line. The question is that a problem then if it's that close? It's probably not the problem, is it? When you were really good on one side and you flipped over and you notice you're missing 50% of your range of motion, or you had a 30% reduction in range, that's where you're probably having a serious problem, and a much more serious problem. Does that make sense to you guys? Did anyone notice they had a different side to side? Raise your hand. Do you know what the #1 predictor of low back pain is? It's actually previous history of low back pain. Number 2, side to side. And seeing those deficits side to side because you create another rotation or shear at your SI joint or shear across the pelvis, and you're going to have to account for that too. That's a problem, absolutely. So we just did deadlifting, and we talked about load sequencing, where I load and then tension. We saw Mark do it. We saw these guys Olympic lifting. And what did we just do with that correlate? We just did what? Load and tension, didn't we? So what did we just do? We just kind of did a deadlift mode. So what I just did for you guys really was put you into the position where we start to understand I'm mobilizing the deadlift. And I'm doing so on my back because it's easy on my back. My back is protected, but I certainly could do it standing up or bent over. Can you stretch a muscle under tension? So go ahead and make a fist for me. Let's stretch your bicep. And resist. How's your bicep stretch going now? Strong. I'm feeling stretch. So how's this working now? My hamstring's sort of holding me up right now, right? Is it stretching? Not so much. I have to have the muscle out of tension in order to be able to mobilize it, if I'm going to mobilize it. Does that make sense? And since we're on this, how is this as a hamstring stretch anyway? How's my back? Good position, bad position? Yeah. Do I need to ever challenge my position? I'm really going to work on my internal rotation now. How's that? No. And this is what we're going to see across. You guys ever seen the sleeper stretch? So I'm working internal rotation on the side. This is typically what we see. I'm just laying on my side and working internal rotation. Is there anything wrong with my shoulder position that you may just correct for me right off the top of your head? This is a horrible position. So what's the rule? Don't mobilize in a bad position. And as we start to mobilize ourselves and we start to work, we make some basic ground rules. If it feels sketchy, is it sketchy? Hey, that's easy and safe. If something goes numb, is that okay? No, it's not? So we agree that numbness is not okay. Who here has overhead squatted until their hands went numb? Raise your hand. Oh, that's okay? So what point is numbness not okay? It's never okay. Never okay. It's when your body's ways of telling you that you've occluded the blood supply to the nerve. That's not really important. You don't need to really use your arm for the next 3 months. That's, Saturday night palsy, you pass out and sleep on your arm, and no, never mind, different story. Which reminds me, is it okay to get drunk and pass out on your lacrosse ball? No. You may need a glass of wine to be able to endure the pain, but don't pass out on your lacrosse ball. You can do some, seriously, you can do some long thoracic nerve damage, it's serious. You can trash yourself that way. If you feel like you're on a nerve, and you feel like you're getting hot nervy pain, what is that? Hot nervy pain. If you feel like you're going to poo and evacuate your bowels, what's going to happen? That's what your body's telling you. So listen to your body this way. When we said, one of the early mobility watches said, don't go into the pain cave, that's what I'm talking about. Don't be a piece of meat. Stay in touch with what's going on and understand that it's not like just 1 inch further before everything tears, right? Be sentient about this, right? You're an elegant meat machine.